Hello and welcome to the Adafruit CircuitPython Weekly for September 4th, 2018. I'm Scott and I work on CircuitPython for Adafruit. CircuitPython is a version of embedded Python based on MicroPython that is geared towards making it super easy for people who have never coded before in their lives to make electronics do what they want very quickly and easily, and giving them that awesome coding experience that we all enjoy. Uh, this meeting is a community meeting where we have both folks who are funded to work on CircuitPython and volunteers get together and just talk about what we're working on, say thank you to other people, and it's open to the public. So if you're interested in joining, it runs usually on Mondays at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. This week is a little bit unique because in the US it was a holiday on Monday, so we're actually recording this on Tuesday. Next week should be normal, and sorry again for not shouting out sooner that we would be on Tuesday this week. If you do want to follow along with that, you can join the Discord, which is where the voice chat happens, but we also have a text chat where we will let you know if the meeting gets rescheduled. So to join our Discord, you go to the URL adafru.it/discord. That will get you in. You'll be able to chat with us all week in text, and then we have the voice chat usually on Mondays, as I said. The format of this is kind of structured, pretty structured. So we'll start off with a state of CircuitPython, which is a kind of statistics view of how the CircuitPython community and projects are going. After that, we'll do a section called Hug Reports, where we do in a round robin fashion, where I will start and talk about thank yous and things to people who are in the community. And then we'll go through everybody who's in the voice chat and give everybody a chance to speak for Hug Reports there. After that, we'll do a status updates, which is a software engineering sorts of thing where you say briefly what you've been working on and briefly what you plan on working on in the coming week. It's a great way for everybody to have a feel for who's doing what and how those things could overlap potentially. And we'll do that in a round robin format as well. And then lastly, we'll have kind of a discussion / in the weeds section for any longer form content that doesn't really fit in the earlier stuff. So during that, if you have things you want to talk about, just please post them into the text chat. And we'll get to those in order that they end up in the text chat. So I'll call it out. And then this video does get recorded. So if you're listening to the audio only, beware that you can be aware that you can go on YouTube and watch both the text chat recording and the voice recording at once. And that's also fair game for anybody in the voice chat. You are being recorded, so be aware of that. All right, let's get started. I do take time codes, so along with the recording, we have notes, so you can skip through the recording to find the things that you're interested in, and you'll hear me like brain fart as I take time codes as I'm talking. So, first section is State of CircuitPython, which is an overview of both the core CircuitPython repository plus all the libraries and the newsletter. We talk about pull requests, statistics, and issues and stuff. So we'll start with pull requests. In the last week, as of this morning, I just ran it like an hour ago. We had 10 pull requests merged from 8 different authors and 3 reviewers. In particular, shout outs to Paul Kierstead, C47D, and 83 as new contributors to that. So thank you to everybody on that list. And if I missed anybody in the gap, sorry about that as well. We have 17 open pull requests, where a number of those are on libraries. So if you want to get involved and start helping in a more active fashion, doing pull request reviews is super helpful. So feel free to take a look at the list in the notes and figure out where you can hop in and just look over the code, see if it makes sense, and then also if there's any sensors or testing, do that as well. So yeah, 17 open pull requests. Check the notes for details. Issues wise, issues are like feature enhancements or bugs or crashes, that sort of thing. We had 9 closed issues by 3 people and 9 opened by 5 people. And we're at 145 open issues. Again, the full list is in the notes. And overall, we're even. So we closed 9 and opened 9. So that's a good thing. We're not necessarily falling too far behind based on that. Download stats wise, we released 301 a couple weeks ago now, I think. And we have 1,397 total downloads on that, which is pretty typical. We do about 400 or 500 a week. I think it'll be changing as well because here in the US, at least, people are getting back to school, and so the pattern of our development is going to change a little bit as everybody comes back from summer and gets in their normal school pattern. So that's that. We have 86 repos in PyPI, which is cool. That's all of the CircuitPython libraries are available for Raspberry Pi via the Blinka adaptation later too. And then we have some notes about some improvements to individual libraries. I won't go into details on that. Overall, we're again still very early in our 4.0 cycle. Development on NRF has been picking up, which has been great. And we still do need to do another 3.02 to fix the NeoPixel stuff, which I meant to get to last week but didn't, so hopefully we'll do that this week. And that's the state of CircuitPython if I had to say it in 3 minutes. Let's move on to Hug Reports. Hug Reports is a section where everybody gets a chance to say thank you to the work that other people have been doing in the community. It's a kind of Adafruit tradition that they do in person at the Adafruit HQ, and I thought it was a great idea, so we do that within CircuitPython community as well. So the way the order that we'll go in is I will start, and then I will read for Dan because he wasn't able to make it, and then we'll go down the list of folks in the voice chat. And let me start. So first and foremost, I want to say a thank you to Brent R, who's in the voice chat, and he's helping me take notes. I am kind of a slow typer at this point because I changed all my keyboard layout and my keyboard and stuff, so that's been kind of tricky. So I've been getting Katney and Dan, and now Brent's help as well. Cascade just reminded me that if you are just text only, feel free to put info into the text chat, and I'll read that off on your behalf in case anybody is just listening to this. So Hug Reports for myself, besides what I just blabbered about, I wanted to say Turbinen Writer for the German translation, which I just merged this morning, which is awesome. Hatak and Arturo and Dan for the great NRF work, and then Deshipu Arturo and Notro for the display IO PR feedback of my own. So those are my Hug Reports for Dan. Dan said Arturo 182 for detailed pull request reviews and his contributions to NRF. TAC for continued NRF 52 work is thanks especially for fixing serial REPL problems, and shout out to Paul Kierstead for fixing uart.read with no timeout. So those are my reports and the reports I got for people who weren't able to make it. Let's go to Brent.
Hello, my report is for Lady Ada for the NeoPixel right in Blinka. It works really well. Also to Gadgetoid, who wrote the library. He did some renaming for us and was really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And even jumped in Discord, which was awesome. Also for Jerry for finding an error that I found and making sure that I'm not the crazy one.
Totally. Yeah, that's awesome. And we should shout out Gadgetoid as well as part of Pimroni, and they have a Discord as well. So if you're interested in joining their Discord, let me know and I'll get you an invite link because they're really active there as well. Okay, going down the list, Cascade is no voice, so I will read Cascade's off. It says special thanks to Tan Newt for the review / support for the Tagalog translation, And also thanks to Jerry and Dan Halbert and Summersoft for answering questions and general support. Cool. And Josh posted a link to Pimoroni for folks who want it. Thanks, Cascade. C. Grover. No voice yet. Group Hug today worked on a couple of CircuitPython projects in the past few weeks. It just works. That's great. That's what we're going for. Charles.
I've got a hug report on general hug report for everybody who works on the guides. They are absolutely fabulous for helping me to teach other people how to use the CircuitPython. Thank you very much.
Great. Yeah, totally. Guide writers are very valuable. All right. Thanks, Charles and Jerry.
Yeah, just a shout out to Brent and Lady Ada for doing the NeoPixel stuff. That's really nice to have it up working on the Pis, and Gadgetoid for getting it going as well. And also to Arturo and Hatach for all the new rapid development going on in the NR52s. It's fun to see, and looking forward to playing with it a lot more.
Yeah, totally. We're gonna start seeing more and more work on the NR52, I think. So it's cool to see it going. All right, Josh. Josh says, Hug reports this week again to Circuit Playground guides. They come in handy when finishing off EduBlocks and also writing samples to go into the editor. Also to Gadgetoid for doing his NeoPixel stuff, because that has come in handy too for my new library. Awesome. Thanks, Josh. And last but not least, Summersoft. Summersoft says, Tan Newt for the suggestions on my PR, Josh for continuing work on EduBlocks and outreach, Cascade for Tagalog translation, and Group because you're awesome. Sweet. Thanks, Summersoft. Okay, that was Hug Reports. Thank you to everyone who was able to make it on this odd time. And thank you for everybody just being great, being super nice, and having such a positive community. It's, as you all know, a great thing to be a part of. So let's move on to status updates. Status updates are a chance for you to talk briefly about what you've been working on, kind of in the form of like what you did last week and what you plan on working on in the coming week. It's really handy if there's tips and tricks of like, oh, you're working on this, you should take a look at that sort of thing. So I'll get started as the example. Last week I got the initial beginnings of the display work out into a PR. It's PR 1152 if you want to take a look at it. I got really good feedback, as I said, in Hug Reports from a few people, so I'm following up on that and hope to get it in this week. It's not meant to be kind of the conclusive PR. It's meant to be just the start and get us going on the hallowing in particular, which has a built-in display. I'm planning on following up in this week, expanding that out into supporting more than just the display that's on the hallowing and more than just displays that are built into the board. So I want it so that if you're in boot.py or made.py, you can say like, create a display with this, and then it kind of it's sticky. It's a singleton that lasts over the course of all of the VMs going forwards. And the reason I want to do that is because I want CircuitPython to kind of pick up on the fact that there is a display and actually use it in those in-between times. So if you get a syntax error or something, like I want it to show up on the display. If you've initialized it once since you started, like those things should show up on the display, which I think will be super cool. I've got a cool Sparky kind of emoticon icon thing that I want to put on that page as well, but we'll get there. That's a little ways down the road. First and foremost, I just want to make sure that we can support lots of different types of displays. In addition to that, I took a kind of a break at the end of last week to not do some display stuff, so I have one of the prototype Grand Centrals, which is the mega form factored SAMD51, and I should be able to get a PR out today or tomorrow with all the pin mappings for that. I did have to fix the peripherals library a bit because there was some PC C-port GPIO stuff that was defined wrong, and we just never found it because we weren't compiling with it. So should get that out this week as well. In kind of my hobby news, I assembled the V2 of the Pi Game Boy cartridge. PAX West was in town in Seattle here, so I showed it off to some people. They got excited, and therefore I got excited to do it as well. Plus, I'm going to Maker Faire in a couple weeks in New York. Let me know if you're going to be there. We can sync up. But I was hoping to kind of bring that as a demo as well. So yeah, that's what I've done, and that's what I'm doing in brain dump fashion. All right, I'll move on and read off Dan. Dan wasn't able to make it because this is a weird time for us to have the meeting, and he had a pre-existing thing scheduled. So Dan let me know beforehand that he had a large PR submitted to add new NRF52 boards, and in addition to that, revise and clean up pin definitions and restructure pin files in the NRF52. This is making the pin definitions work less magically, so no intermediate Python script needs to run. They're more structured like the Atmel SAMD ones. And then this week, Dan is continuing to add functionality to the NRF52 port. I think he's really hitting his stride on this, so we should see a lot of progress in terms of CircuitPython APIs being fleshed out and starting to work in the NRF52 stuff. And maybe we'll get an alpha out with that as well. That would be cool. All right, let's go to Brent.
Hey, finishing up the IO Home second guide. It's on home security and have alarms, security system through PyCam, which is a really cool Blinka plus IO plus an external library for the Pi camera. That will be out probably by Wednesday. Adam, who works on Adafruit IO, added Mqtt groups back to IO. Now you'll be able to do a poll. You'll be able to poll the groups and try to get data from each individual feed within that group. So it's really useful for smart home and other types of things. So for example, if you have a fridge, you can do sensors on each level of the fridge, and you'll be able to pull the data from each level of that grouping. Way simpler to set up. You don't have to declare individual feeds. You just declare the group.
Right.
So that will probably get added by the end of this week.
Neat. Cool. You're writing this really cool line of like blurring CircuitPython resources with Adafruit IO and general Python stuff. So it's really neat to see.
Yeah. Wait for my weird OpenCV stuff that I'm planning.
I look forward to it. All right, Cascade. Maybe away from keyboard. C. Grover, you want to type into, and I'll read it off. I know you're both text only. C. Grover says, recently worked on a collaborative project with John Park to design a hybrid PCB, both analog and digital, and code to read a Eurorack synth control voltage signal and display it on a 1930s 40s vintage analog RF meter in a very retro cool case. That sounds awesome. You should post pictures if you have them. The signal is processed by a Trinket M0 running CircuitPython that protects the meter by controlling range and skew. The Trinket stack output drives the retro analog meter. Working on a film miniature lighting animation controller for a local film group. The project involves an itsy bitsy M4 Express with CircuitPython, a bunch of NeoPixels, and a panel full of knobs and switches. That sounds super interesting. I'm curious how you do the panel full of knobs and switches, because I am hoping to do trellis sorts of stuff that facilitates panels of knobs and switches at some point. I know I've talked about that, but cool. C. Grover says they're writing a learn guide about the front panel, so stay tuned. And then Cascade is typing, so I will just chill out just a little bit. Cascade says currently working on cooking lunch. Working on a new CircuitPython based board based on the Trinket M0 with SPI Flash and generally learning about how things work. Also planning to do the same with the SAMD51 chip with a display. Awesome, cool. I heard it from a guy that I met at Seattle Mini Maker Faire who has a 51 with a display as well. All right, go ahead, Charles.
Okay, I'm working on a music project, a digital ocarina, and I'm having trouble. I'm using an old style DIN connector interface on the UART, and the problem is I can't quite get the 31250 exactly, and it's causing bit drop. And I don't know quite what to do. So I guess I have to learn how to insert a issue to maybe you've already fixed it. I'm using basically the Raspberry Pi Blinka setup.
Oh, you're trying to get that speed on a Raspberry Pi?
Yeah, and it's tough. I may just revert to a Feather. M4 or an M0. I'm not sure because it's getting a little. It's just that I'm in the process of receiving a prototype of a new synth from Modern Device. I think I mentioned before, and I want to make sure it's going to work in my project.
Right.
All this trouble.
Yeah. Well, I think that the two people that may know it best are C. Grover and Old Crow. Both do a lot of MIDI stuff, so feel free to reach out to them.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know if they've done any Raspberry Pi stuff, though. I think they've just been doing Feathers and M0s and stuff.
Yeah, but I think it might be. I might be better off with the Feather also because it won't be such a large form factor.
Right.
Well, anyway, that's it.
Cool. Thanks, and keep us posted and let us know what you figure out.
Yep.
Thanks, Charles.
Yep.
All right, Jerry.
Nothing really special. Just been flitting around between lots of different projects and trying to keep focused on one or two, but not succeeding. And spending most of the week working with a new dog we just adopted. So that's taken priority.
That sounds like fun.
It's been a great fun, and trying to get focused on some other things back in the next week or so. So we'll see where it goes.
Cool, no worries. Enjoy the new dog.
Oh, well, thanks.
All right, Josh. Josh says, this week I've been upgrading the repo on Pixel 0, which is github.com/allaboutcode/pixel0, which is my port of the CircuitPython NeoPixel library based on the RPi WS2812X library for the Pi. I believe this is going into Blinka according to Brent. Also, Adafruit.edgyblocks.org is basically done apart from I2C. Been doing some outreach at the local Raspberry Jam with EdgyBlocks and CircuitPython, and lots of teachers are looking to use it when it's ready. Did a quick talk on the editor to them. There's a Twitter link here of the talk. If anyone is going to the Blockly Summit in California in 2 weeks, it would be great to speak to you, as I'll be doing a talk on the past 2 years of EdgyBlocks and how I develop it. That sounds super exciting. If you're going to California, you should come to Seattle, although I might actually be in New York at the time. Okay. And let's see. Last but not least, Summersoft. Yeah, I actually muted Charles on my end. Let me see if I can unmute from my end. Yeah, there we go. Sweet. So that Charles can talk again later. Okay, Summersoft says, for frequency in, the second control timer added and working. Nice. Using DPLL1 at 98 megahertz as the timer source is working on M4. Still a fair amount of jitter on the higher end readings that I need to work out. Not sure if it's clock or timer related. Using the external oscillator 32K, going to test with the ultra low power 32K tonight. Up next is DMAing the capture timer to overcome the loss of capture interrupt. Okay, I'm not sure what you mean by that, but maybe we should talk about it. I also had another thought, Somersault, on this, in that we were talking about what the expected frequency range to support is. And I was thinking that we don't actually need to support that super low range because pulse in can do it, right? Like pulse in is good at measuring pulses that are pretty slow. So I think with frequency in, we should focus on supporting the faster input signals that pulse in can't handle. All right. And with that, that is status updates. Again, thank you everybody for that. And let's go into the weed section. And the weed section is a chance for us to just talk about larger topics, kind of at the end, so that if we get into the weeds, obviously, people can opt not to listen to it. Somersault, I guess we'll follow up on that, but I don't know why you need DMA. Unless you're trying to measure frequency changes over time. And if anybody has other topics, feel free to put them in the text chat and we'll go over them as well. Okay. Typing on phone. Yeah, no worries. One thing is Josh forgot a hug report. So Josh says, thanks to Dan for helping me with my CPX not running programs. Josh also says, let me just make a time code. Sorry. We can just do this as a general call out. Josh wants more feedback on EduBlocks or CircuitPython and what you'd like to see. He says, because no doubt I forgot something that needs to be there. So I said I would look at it and I will, but it's basically my Monday right now, so I haven't looked yet. Again, if people want to try it, it's adafruit.edublocks, which is EDUBLOCKS.org. So if you want to try that out, do that. And then Josh, what is the best way to get the feedback back to you? Okay, so everybody should go try it out, and you can either give your feedback via support.edublocks.org or just ping at Josh on our Discord, and he'll see it here as well. Cool. Okay, sorry I haven't done that yet, but I've just been busy. Nice. And there's another one here, I think, that another topic that Brent added. So Brent, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I was just curious if we're going to add support for PWM on the Pi to Blinker.
The answer is I have no idea.
Okay. I wasn't sure if we were just going to use an external for like the PCA, or if we were going to add it directly into the Pi.
Lamore's been driving most of that, so I would just ask her.
I'll ask.
Yeah. I've been kind of ignorance is bliss in terms of the Raspberry Pi stuff. Just answering the questions that she needs to keep moving. Mm-hmm. Sorry for the non-answer, but yeah.
No, it's no problem.
All right. Does anybody else have any other topics? Summersoft is typing. Otherwise, well, wait. Summersoft is on his phone too, so. People are typing. We've had more and more people coming into the CircuitPython Discord, which has been great. It's really fun to see more and more people come along and ask questions and try it out and stuff. Summersoft says, since now using a second timer to schedule the value updates, the capture timers don't set the interrupt on capture. However, Tammy just asked when the weekly meeting is, and it's right now. Right. Summersaw says, however, all captures still set the int flag, which causes the capture not to be recorded in the CC. Yeah, Summersoft, I wouldn't. The way that I was thinking is that the schedule timer just the interrupt for that just does a read of the capture timer's values to know how many values it's changed since the last time the schedule timer did an interrupt. I'm not expecting any values to be recorded to the CC. The CC is only used to like subtract down. The CC register only counts how many cycles of the input frequency have happened over the time duration. Okay. Except it usually happens on Mondays. Yep. Thank you, everybody, for that. Tammy can't hear me, but I'm going to answer this one last question. Take a time code. So the last thing was Cascade asks, what's the easiest way in CircuitPython to find out which peripherals are available / taken or when a pin is in use? And I would say from CircuitPython, the easiest thing to do is just to try it, because you can always if you're able to grab the peripheral, you can always de-init and give it back. To figure out a particular pin, you could use a digital in-out and do the same thing of just like try to use it. And if you can't use it, then it's in use. If you can, then just de-init it back and then you can use it. Kattni wrote some scripts to figure out like what are all of my available spies and what are all of my available I2C buses. And it does exactly that. It just tries everything. And then the things that succeed, it keeps track of and de-inits so that it's given back. There have been bugs from there from time to time, so if you find it that you can't actually give something back, please let us know. So yeah, that's it. Yeah, Kattni's got you covered for sure. Okay, I'm gonna wrap us up, and then we'll see if we can't get or offer to chat with Tammy after the meeting, who says they are TammyMakesThings.com. Only an intro post right now, but several posts, mostly CircuitPython and Arduino at the moment, in progress that I hope to get posted this week. Awesome. So hopefully Tammy will make the meeting next week, or maybe we'll chat after. All right, I'm gonna take another final time code and wrap us up. So thanks everybody for joining us on the Adafruit CircuitPython weekly meeting. Happens every week, mostly on Mondays. It's usually Mondays at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. This week was weird because we had the U.S. holiday Labor Day yesterday, so we bumped it. Dan was out of town, and then turned out wasn't able to make it anyway. Katney is on vacation. So yeah, it's all good. When we do post or when we do move it, those will go into notifications for that are pinged to the CircuitPython helpers group on Discord. The meeting and those notifications go up on Discord. So if you're not on there, please join it. The URL to join is adafru.it/discord. That will get you in. And you can text chat with us all week long. It's only voice chat we only usually do at that time period. We record all the meetings, so they go up on the Adafruit YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Adafruit, along with text notes of everything that happened that also has time code. So you're able to look through the video and find the things that you want to hear about. We also have a newsletter called the Python for Microcontrollers newsletter. It goes out Tuesday morning, so it actually went out this morning. And you can sign up for that at adafruitdaily.com. It's called daily, but it's actually a weekly newsletter for there. That includes Python, MicroPython, CircuitPython news, kind of a bit broader than this meeting itself. And yeah, until next week, thank you everybody for joining this meeting.